2014 meeting. Today we'll got a pretty good list here. Public forum, minutes in Woodbridge Circle, and water sewer abatements, and land trust and housing studies, and so on. So we'll get right into the announcement. Are there any announcements, first of all?
No.
Okay. In public forum. You here for public forum?
I guess I am. So
Could you sit up here?
Okay.
You can sit right up in here. Just state your name for the record.
Okay. My name is Kelly Tobin.
Please sit down. Relax.
My name is Kelly Tobin, and I live at 6 Woodbridge Circle, and I've lived there for 12 years, and I am here to hopefully get some answers and some resolution to what has been going on over there. As you are all familiar, there have been some issues that have developed regarding a private citizen being allowed to run irrigation from private property onto public land without any formal plan that we are aware of in terms of the upkeep of the irrigation, what happens if somebody breaks a sprinkler, there's a million different issues that could develop from something like that. The residents have concerns that we were never made aware of this situation until after it had already happened. And so like I said, I'm hoping to get some answers. Additionally, with all due respect, gentlemen, is it Genovese or Genovese? I don't know if I can speak to you directly, but one of the things that has been most disconcerting to me with this whole situation is the lack of response from Mr. Genovese and Mr. Boudreau. I have sent numerous emails, and they were just blatantly disregarded, and I find that that is unacceptable, and it certainly wouldn't be permitted in my line of work, and that's very disconcerting to me that that was how it was handled, and I just think part of their position is probably, named to be able to communicate effectively with the public. I think that that would be expected in positions that they hold, and we just flat right didn't get responses to emails, and this has gone on for far too long. This problem began last November, inquiries were made last November, and it is now, for all intents and purposes, almost July, and we are no further along. So with that being said, I see that it's on the agenda. I hope we can get some answers, and I hope that everyone can move forward. So, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, is there any other public forum? Anybody else here for public forum? Now we'll move on to the minutes.
Motion to approve Board of Selectmen minutes of 9 June.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
I do have an edit or two. On second page, under Board of Selectmen Charter, it states Chairman Lesko. In the second paragraph, it should be Chairman Boyle at the time. I'm the one that made the comment. And in the next paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line 5 down, it says, the sentence reads, said it's an important principle that no one acts on the approval of the board. Well,
What page?
acts without,
Sorry.
page 2. Should read acts without approval of the board, not on. This is under Board of Selectmen Charter, the third paragraph. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just says the opposite of what was actually stated.
Instead of on, without the approval.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
And I think this is on the next page, under transmission line, the last sentence. I don't think that's what Mr. Lesko said. Obviously, we put it in the walking trails. We want people to get to the walking trails and be able to get there. So I'm not sure that's characterizes
Well, I was concerned
accurately
about
or-
the traffic, the car traffic going up there once we have the walking trails, and people are going to be walking up there, and that road is only about 12 feet wide, and if you put a vehicle on there with people walking, it becomes a dangerous situation. So that's, you take it however you really want it. I didn't find that there was a
Okay,
problem
well,
with
if you
that.
had to say it,
Yeah.
the same. We took no action on gates anyway, but
That was the main reason for putting up
Yeah.
a gate there to keep the traffic out of there as best we could.
that was it.
Okay. Is there a motion, there's a motion been made, that includes the,
Seconded, subject to these edits.
subject to the corrections? Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Are we doing,
Well, Mr. Wright has not arrived yet.
Okay, DPW. Phil, Woodbridge Circle.
Well, in your packet, you should have a letter addressed to you in regards to my recommendation for and the history of what has happened there, so.
I read the whole thing, and basically, you're welcome to get a copy of it after council. And basically, the shrubbery was taken out because of the dangerous situation that was felt that it was with the children and the trucks that were going around there, and that was a concern, a safety issue.
That's correct. That was his first issue raised. And as you can see, Mr. Zeminski was building his home at the time and had the equipment on his property and said he would remove the shrubbery, which he came in, and I told him to make sure he dig safe the parcel, which they did. And at that time, he had requested running an irrigation line from his house over to the Woodbridge Circle cul-de-sac, where there was an existing 3 to 4 inch crack across the circle. And at that time, their construction was there doing the driveway, and he said that their construction would be doing the excavating along with the patching of the road and installing the irrigation line. So I said, well, when everything was done, to come, make sure it's dig safe, come see me. After the project's complete, I want to look at it. And at that time is when the email started floating around about the concern about removing the shrubbery. So at that point in time, I gave him a cease and desist order to stop work at the cul-de-sac until we could get the neighbors together to discuss the situation down there. And as you can see by the many emails that we've tried to coordinate that, and it hasn't happened. So at this point in time, my recommendation is to leave the cul-de-sac as is. There's no shrubbery in there for us to maintain. It's grassed, it's loomed, just like every other cul-de-sac in town.
Okay. As far as putting the water line across the street, I noticed that...
It's not activated. That line is not activated.
Okay. That was a concern that I had. What's going on with the water there, if something broke or whatever the case would be, so it's not
It's not
activated.
activated.
but in any case, it's not on town water, it's
It
on the...
would have been on the
house water.
homeowner's water. Correct.
Right. Okay, and the folks on Woodbridge Circle, the way I took it, they were expecting, I guess they were told that when they designed Woodbridge Circle, that they had to put in the shrubbery, everything here, but that was part of the plan, I guess, and then it was adopted by the town of Hatfield. All right, that's from what I'm reading. Maybe you guys can help us out.
There was a landscaping plan that was required by the town. It included
Your name, please?
Janet Casey, 12 Woodbridge.
Yeah, would you, maybe if you just over here. We'll put the highlight on you.
So I have a copy of the original subdivision plan. There was a landscaping plan required, and it included trees down the street in the cul-de-sac, specific breeds of trees, species. In the circle, it included bushes and trees, and grass. So that was required by the town. It wasn't originally done, and when the developer went to turn the street over to the town required that he go back and do it.
Okay, must have been the planning board, because
Whoever.
it's their action that they design and they approve the plan. So when that happens, I don't know, have they sent the thing around to you when that happens, Phil? Because,
Sometimes they make us, I mean, they sent a copy to all the departments, if you have any comments about what is going to the planning board for a subdivision.
all right, but,
We can comment on that.
all right, do you remember if you
I
made a
wasn't here at
comment?
the time.
Okay, because, I mean, usually, we wouldn't
If I was
allow-
here, that would have never happened.
That's what I'm saying. We wouldn't allow shrubbery, we wouldn't allow bushes. It would be just plain grass and maybe one tree in the middle of it, just for mowing purposes, because we know we have to maintain it. So in this case here, the planning board, I think we need to talk with the planning board on when they're doing another one, so it doesn't include that, because there's no other cul-de-sacs in town that have that, unless they want to put a specific, like if the neighbors wanted to take and put a flower garden, then you'd, solicit to the town, and we'd either give you the approval or say no, or whatever, whoever's going to manage it, like down on Main Street Common here, okay? That's taken care of, I think, by the Boy Scouts or something like that, and Annie's Flower Garden, or somebody would put that in originally. So they get the approval that way. But other than that, we watch what's going on with the mowing, because we're not going to go out there with a hand mower, we're going to go out there with a big machine. And if it's something that's going to be a problem to us, then, we want to make it as simple as possible to be cost effective. So that's why I'm asking the questions on what had happened here. So it might be the planning board stated that you guys needed that, but, and on the other hand, our end, we really need to take a look at that and talk with them, talk with the planning board. You guys got...
I don't have to stay up here, do I?
No, you don't.
No.
Unless you want to speak some more.
Yeah.
Okay. So to move it forward, I know we talked about a couple meetings ago. Like I said, one of the things that we watch is safety of the property, of the town property. In this case here, it was brought to our attention that there was a safety issue with the children playing in the bushes and stuff like that. And I guess, what is a UPS truck or something, whatever
FedEx
truck was
something.
there, and there was a concern that with the kids there, and the truck actually had to stop because he's afraid he's going to run somebody over. So that was an issue. That's a safety issue. If he can't see in that cul-de-sac going around, then it is a safety issue. So either Mr. Zeminski or whoever, or the town would have taken it out. I mean, I'm going by what...
I apologize if I could ask a question. Are we allowed to engage in conversation at this meeting?
I'm asking for
Okay,
input.
okay. So the safety issue was one report by Mr. Zeminski. I mean, there are 13 kids under the age of 13 over there in that neighborhood. So, I think that there was a little hyperbole, for lack of a better term, and even potentially subterfuge in terms of it being portrayed as, like I said, a safety issue. This safety issue, it was never addressed with any of the parents on the street. At no point has anyone ever said, we can't see your kids. There was never any discussion. There was never, no one was involved except for Mr. Genovese and Mr. Zeminski in this. And by the time we found out, the bushes were literally gone. To a point where we didn't know what was going on, and I believe it was Mr. Boudreau who said, call the police. And the police were called on the day that the bushes were pulled out because we didn't even know what was happening. The bushes were gone. So I think it's a little veiled, shall we say.
From my perspective anyway, if I were to hear that, I would have made the decision to get the bushes out of there for the safety reason.
They can be
Okay.
trimmed.
Whether it's your kids or not, I wouldn't tell you. If it's town property, we have an obligation that if somebody brings a safety issue to us, we're going to address it the best we can.
And I agree with that, by all means. We want kids to be safe, I want my kids
Absolutely.
safe, I want her kids safe. But as Jan just said, it was never addressed, and bushes can be trimmed, and my husband went down and helped Mr. Zeminski at one point trim those bushes. It seemed like it went from, nowhere to the bushes were gone. They were just gone, because that was what John wanted, and that was what John got.
Well, I don't think it's so much who wanted. It was brought to to fill Mr. Kennedy's attention that there was a safety issue there. When he went out and looked at it, he agreed that it was a safety issue.
Did you go out and look at it?
Yes.
Okay, and then he came back and told us what was going on with that, and he told us exactly what went on. At least he told me. I don't know about Jeff,
Yes.
and Brian wasn't here, but I know he told me about it.
You know, the residents are not averse to, and I realize what you guys are saying, I understand it totally in terms of, you know, every other cul-de-sac has one tree or whatever. This was a private development initially. It has 3 trees on it. We are not averse to upgrading the cul-de-sac, I think, which at one point is what you referred to it as, and you know, putting in other plantings if the planning board allows us to do that. What our concerns were is, like I said, the irrigation system being run from private property, who's responsible for maintaining that? What happens if something happens to one of those pipes? Who becomes responsible for all of that? And there was never any discussion. We were cut out of the loop. All of the residents were cut out, totally. I feel like the town didn't do its due diligence. We were never notified. I mean, even with the decision to pull the bushes, maybe we didn't have to be notified, but shouldn't we have been notified? Shouldn't we have been made aware of this before coming home one day and literally having somebody say to me, go and look at the cul-de-sac?
Probably not. It would be an issue of an immediate decision, so nobody did get hurt.
It
Okay,
seems-
I know, I wouldn't be looking for your help on something like that. If I saw an emergency situation, they'd be gone, okay? Because I'd feel really bad if a child did get run over and I was responsible and I didn't take the bushes out. That would be really bad.
I agree, and I don't mean to present as argumentative,
Sure.
but for 12 years, those bushes were there, and all of a sudden, now they needed to go?
If they weren't removed on an emergency basis.
They weren't. It was convenient, as you just said, it was
Proposal made to him
convenient.
by a private
One at a
residence.
time, please.
Oh, sorry. It-
The town didn't remove them on an emergency basis. The town did nothing. John Zeminski removed them when it was convenient for him.
Well, when I heard about it, Phil told me that the bushes were being removed because of this situation that happened, and I agreed with that. And I don't know if Jeff, like I say, Jeff was
Yeah.
fooled. So
The
that's
alleged
basically how it
incident
happened.
involved my son. I never heard about it from anyone. This is why we just since talked to the UPS driver and the Hatfield mailman, and there was no such incident.
I mean, they're gone, they're past, so now we're back to what we have to do, what's best in the interest of the town, and move forward on that.
I agree. I agree. You know, it would have been nice, though, to get some
I
additional
hear you.
information specific, particularly about the irrigation as well. I mean, the road, yes, there may have been a crack in the road, but it, again, I just scratch my head. It just doesn't seem like normal procedure to allow someone to run a sprinkler system on public property from a private property.
We wouldn't, unless you have an easement, okay, and stuff like that. It's already passed, it's done, it's not activated, so as far as we're concerned, the road is patched, it's
Yeah, there's
done,
no-
sealed,
Yeah, there's no connection to his house.
okay. So there's no connection there, and that's basically the bottom line.
So now, going forward, I just want to make sure that we're clear, so that we can move forward, because we would really like to move forward. If we want to do something above and beyond the trees that are there, and I understand the mowing, and we may be able to work something out in the neighborhood. I mean, it's always, Mr. Zeminski has always taken care of it, and we've been appreciative of that. However, there's also several other people on the street who have mowers, including ourselves. I mean, it may be something where we could go in and mow it to try to, you know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
In other parts of town, there are little commons that are out there, and other people will mow it. The people that live directly in front of it will mow it, and they'll have whatever they want to do with it, and we don't object to them mowing
Oh,
any of the commons that we have there.
We welcome that. We
Yeah.
welcome people to take.
Because we don't mow ours maybe every 1 to 3 weeks, okay, depending on time.
so if we want to do additional plantings, we would go through the planning board then.
No, it'd be
Work with DPW.
DPW,
W.
okay? And if you were going to maintain it, then it really wouldn't matter what you're going to put in there for plantings, as long as you guys maintain it under that. But if it didn't get maintained, then I just don't want anybody coming back to the town's sake and saying, hey, you got to weed our flowers, because that's not the way it's going to work. We'll pull the flowers out, plant grass, and mow it, and that would be the bottom line, okay?
Does
'Cause
the
we just don't
DPW have guidelines on these sort of issues in neighborhoods where Mr. Genovese had talked to John Zeminski about him doing this work and then erecting a war memorial, and it was of his own choosing? Wouldn't
never
the
came-
neighborhood have to be consulted about that?
He never came to me about the war memorial. That was never discussed in my office.
According to him, that was the ultimate goal here.
No, that was never discussed.
I don't know anything about that, so.
My point is, wouldn't the neighborhood be involved? Wouldn't the town do some due diligence so that this type of thing doesn't happen going forward?
It
At the
shouldn't
time
happen.
that it was approved, wouldn't the neighbors, at least the abutters of the circle, who see it from their kitchen table like Kelly does and I do, wouldn't someone say, by the way, we're going to do some work on your cul-de-sac, and the end goal is to have X, Y, Z that John Zeminski is proposing to me in writing, that I have several plans of, that I refer to in this letter?
We can take a look at it for future situations, if it comes to that, yes. We'll have to take a look at it and address it and come up with some kind of a format that would follow.
What I'm
But
saying is,
there's nothing
if we
on-
move forward, is it a neighborhood consensus? Is it Phil's decision? If Mr.
It's the
Kaminsky
town's-
wants to pursue his memorial,
A memorial is one thing, okay, on town property is another. Okay, anybody can have a memorial on their.
we're talking
on their
about town property here.
Okay, I don't know anything about a memorial, this is the first I've ever heard of it, okay? But with town property, Phil is responsible for town property, he is responsible for maintaining the mowing, the tree trimmings, if that's the case, and the road, highway, and curbing, and so on, okay? That's his responsibility. If something needs to be done, if the tree needs to be taken down, it's posted naturally, and then it's, I think it has, wait 7 days or something like that, once you have a public hearing, and then it comes down. But if it's something to mow the grass and stuff like that, that's up to Phil. Mr. Genovese here.
If I may, I think to answer your question, which I don't think we've done yet, is I'd like to think that if anything's going to be erected or wants to be erected on town property, there's the path that needs to be followed that comes through, whether it's the planning board or the board of selectmen. Somebody just doesn't have the right, as good as their intentions may be, to just erect something on town property without permission.
Actually,
I think that's what the
That
answer
is
you
my
were looking for.
question.
actually, we have a bylaw that requires any signage on town property or right-of-way has to come before the Board of Selectmen. We just started addressing that with regard to political signs.
Right.
But let me-
That was my exact question.
Yeah.
This whole thing that consumes so much of our time came because John Zeminski, who we do have a good relationship with him, he comes to our houses for parties. He doesn't have kids, and so his idea of what would be nice there is a war memorial. We all have kids, and we have a different idea. So my question is, this will move forward. Mr. Zeminski wants to move forward with his plans, whatever they are. And he wants to finish his irrigation system that he's already invested in. He's been quite clear about that. When this lands on Phil's plate, that's what I'm asking, exactly what you said, Brian. What's the protocol?
For the signage?
No, I'm not talking about a
We
sign.
don't have one for, as far as what goes on town property, there's, what's on town property, the planning board, you have a plan to set up a subdivision, and it's on the plan, what's supposed to go there. In this case, Mr. Genovese missed it, it should have been caught.
Wasn't here.
Where, well, they put shrubbery and everything else in that cul-de-sac, when every other cul-de-sac is just either wide open or one tree on it. Am I
Well,
correct in that case?
just to clarify that, I wasn't here when that Woodbridge Circle was developed. I was not here.
Oh, okay, so then you wouldn't have known that,
No.
so you wouldn't have responded to
No,
that.
because like I said, because if I was here, there wouldn't have been no shrubs on that cul-de-sac.
Okay, so
Because
that's
it's a
the
maintenance
case now,
nightmare.
he'd be responding to the planning board, stating that there's no shrubbery involved or no plantings, whatever, because we have to maintain it. Okay, so with him being here now, that's what you would get. Okay, so his protocol would be that everything would be wide open, with the exception of maybe one tree, just for mowing purposes.
So what happens now going forward? The irrigation system is not hooked up. Mr. Zeminski would like, I think, to have it out there, but because we haven't been able to come up with a way to do this, where it doesn't fall as a burden onto the taxpayer's shoulders, I expect that he's going to turn around and he's going to want the money back that he invested in running the irrigation system out there.
We
That
no
won't- that's a sunk cost.
compensation on our end at all.
There's no
Literally a
liability.
sunk cost, yeah.
There is no recourse to the town.
Yeah.
Can I make one comment?
Go ahead.
I mean, the whole, and I'm not disagreeing with anyone here. I mean, to me, the whole issue revolves around some very inadequate communication. I'll acknowledge that on behalf of the board, on behalf of DPW, before and after. Even when and if there's an emergency situation, which requires action, and DPW does have the authority to do it, and he should do it. But even in such case, it'd be appropriate to let folks know, even if it's after the fact, what was done. This was done, and here's why we did it.
Yeah, I think that would have smoothed over a lot of ruffled feathers. And, I feel like,
And there was never an intent on anyone's part to ruffle feathers to begin with. I think reasonable folks were trying to do the right thing and kind of dropped the ball on the communication aspect.
Communication was a big wake-up call for me. It was extremely disappointing to call the town hall over and over again and send written correspondence and just hear crickets for months. Mr. Lesko's the only person who's ever responded to me. I called you, Jeff, and spoke to you, but I never heard back for months.
Well, we had a session on here earlier defining for DPW as to what his role is, what responsibilities the town would assume with respect to maintenance, which was none, virtually. We actually covered the issue.
A few meetings ago.
But the ball was dropped not to get in touch with you guys.
Thank you. To keep us in the loop.
Right. Apologize for that.
Thank you.
Moving forward, that, like I say, he'll be in charge of getting, grass planted already?
Yeah, it's
Everything's all in?
yeah.
Phil is not the most responsive person.
Pardon?
Phil is not the most responsive person to communication. So as this moves forward, it's going to be quite difficult. I can already feel it.
Well, I don't think it would be difficult, and I just want to, I'm just going to stand up for myself saying that I did respond. I mean, I've got emails back, thanks for your timely response, thanks for responding so promptly, from people sitting in this room. So to say that on, out publicly here, I kind of take offense to that.
Well, there's 4 months where there was no response.
Well, 4 months. But when
We're
this whole
working
thing, and I've tried to communicate with you people about holding a session with the neighborhood, and we had it planned for some night, and then we couldn't, there was obviously some people that couldn't attend, which, it's fine with me, but like I said, I was going to sit down with you people and have everybody in the same room and hash this out before it got to this point, but that never took
But maybe you
place.
should set that up moving forward to be proactive.
Well, I set it up to get you people who know who the parties are down there to set it up, and I would attend. I would have attended. I said that in my email, to coordinate a neighborhood meeting, and I would have been there.
No, we did coordinate that, and the town is the one who said that it wasn't the proper venue.
I never said
Well,
that.
you're better off coming here tonight because you get the answers from the board, what the town's responsibility is, what you can do and what you can't do. Okay? I think you were better off here getting this meeting than you would with Mr. Genovese going to your house, and at least you're getting a full response from the board, from the town, what are obligations and what you can do and what you can't do. Are we pretty clear?
I think
Okay.
we'll.
I'm trying to give you as much as we can, because I know it's not fair you guys waited for so long, and no, I'm trying to listen to what you have to say. Okay, and if that's all there is, we'll move forward, and if you have any questions, certainly you're welcome to come into our board at any time, community forum, and address them right here, and we'll look into the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Phil, sewer abatements.
There's a water and sewer abatement. This is from the
Motion to
last.
approve sewer abatement of $79.80 for 106 Elm Street.
Motion been made, is there a second?
Second, I have a question.
Open for discussion. The one thing that I did see from Sam's pool, I was going to
It's in
call
here.
him, why doesn't he have that on here as far as on part of the bill? That's what I'd like to see.
Oh,
As part of the
I
bill.
had, when you had asked for that request is that he
Yeah,
put it on here, what they took for gallons. And the only reason it's not on the bill is because he doesn't pay for it. The homeowner pays for this, for the water. So he wouldn't be on his bill.
I know that, but I guess what I'm saying is, 16 by 24 pool liner and installation, 16 by 24 pool liner, 10,000 gallons, okay, capacity, and then plus insulation. That's all I'm looking for is what he's put, that he writes on his invoice, that what's in there for gallons. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, and
Because
then-
anybody can take a copy of this and write this in here, Phil.
Well, this came from him because he faxed it
Yeah.
from to me, so.
But you hear what I'm saying? I don't know if you two guys agree or not, but we should know what the gallons are when
Yeah.
we issue an abatement, okay? That's all I'm asking for, on the bill. So if somebody comes in, you let them know that, yeah, we'll do the abatement, but they have to have it on the bill.
I have a question.
Well, they come in after the fact, that's the problem. I mean, they come in to abate it after the liner's in and the pool's filled.
Right.
Well,
And the
maybe
bill's already paid, I mean, all the bills have been paid, I mean,
Right.
so, because I don't know if someone's put a new liner in their pool or not.
Right.
Nobody does.
I just have a question about these abatements in general, not this particular one. So anyone who has a ripped liner and has to replace it will get an abatement if they apply
On the
for it?
sewer side.
On the sewer side?
Yeah. And that's the only, that's one of the few abatements.
Yeah,
That is
Which-
allowed.
Which makes total sense.
yeah. That's why it's important to know what the gallons are put in,
Right.
okay? So we can abate
Yeah.
gallons of sewer
Yeah.
that was going out.
Guess I should have done this a few years ago, huh?
The motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, what else do you have, Phil?
Easy.
Oh, the water line's going slower than slow. The reason being that they're into some pretty solid rock up there, so today they only put in 40 feet. Last time I was here, they put 380 feet, so they're in a pocket of bad rock right now, so there's nothing you can do, that's just the conditions up there.
I noticed there was a lot of stone and stuff put on the property that's out there. I'm hoping that gets cleaned up.
Oh, I'm sure it will, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get it up is to take some of that that surface of loam. They didn't push it back. To me, if they were going to put stone on, I would have had them push it back and get down and then pull the loam back in.
And the only other thing I want to bring up while we're sitting here as a board is I don't know if it's going to come to light, but there's been a request from a homeowner out there about the water leak during the winter,
The what?
the water problem in the house.
Oh, okay.
And she wants to know what direction she should take, I guess. She's pretty concerned at the amount of the bill.
Insurance would probably pay for that, but I'm not sure what she's
I
got
don't
for
know.
insurance or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that, she's looking for some help.
Is this the house that flooded essentially?
Yeah.
Because it was essentially
Pipes
abandoned?
broke and flooded the whole house out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first recommendation to her would be to check with her insurance company and see if it
Because
was-
it's a pretty hefty
covered.
bill, it's $13,000,
it ran all winter long. Yeah.
so.
No.
I just wanted you to be aware of that because she might be talking to some of you about it. Because I know she came to me a couple times already, so.
All right. Okay, is there anything else?
No?
I guess back to my issue on the stone on the property, I'm not sure whose property that is, but if they start taking the stone away and they're gonna take the topsoil away, I just don't want,
Well, their contract clearly states league to reinstate it as it was or better, so they'd have to do something there.
Okay, and no cost to us.
No cost to us, no, that's in their
And it's got to
contract.
be on condition that the property owner accepts.
That's right, yeah, he accepts it, correct.
Okay. Because I did see that out there. All right, anything else?
No.
No? Do you have anything?
Nope.
Phil?
Thank you.
Jeff? No? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're set. Okay. Ben Wright and Kestrel Land Trust.
Have a seat. Sure.
Thanks for having me up. Just following up from town meeting vote and coming before you guys sometime last year for your support on a couple of grant applications to protect some property up on Chestnut Mountain Road. It's surveyed out to 18.935 acres owned by Ellen White, being sold to Kestrel Land Trust. We're using a state grant, the Conservation Partnership Grant, to buy that, and that grant requires partnership with the town. So Kestrel would own the fee and the town would acquire the conservation restriction. So we've gone around with the town council and hammered out the restriction, and we've got it ready to sign.
One question. In our article for town meeting, we had 2 parcels totaling 32 plus or minus acres. The conservation restriction only talks about 18 acres. Was the material developed for town meeting without a survey, or?
No, there's another parcel that we can't purchase yet because the title hasn't been cleared. That's a separate acquisition,
Okay.
different landowner.
Mark?
That piece will have a conservation restriction on it. So, and that piece will be owned by the town.
Right.
So the 2 parcels, there's 2 parcels,
Yes.
one of which,
The parcels 8 and 11.
yeah, Bob Wagner, the Community Preservation Committee, the 2 parcels, one will be owned by the town with a conservation restriction held by Department of Conservation, DCR, the state DCR, Department of Conservation and Resources and Recreation. Thank you. And then the other parcel is the one that Ben is here talking about, which is the first phase going through, where Kestrel Trust will own the fee and we will hold or own the conservation restriction. So, yeah. If there's a change in the total acres that were at town meeting, it's going to be plus or minus, which is why it was listed that way, because until you actually,
Well, I didn't,
yeah,
this one was missing parcels, map number and all that.
yeah, right,
This was just acreage. So-
right.
Okay.
Okay, so town meeting voted, the only thing we have to do, I believe, is sign the documents.
Yep.
That's what you're here today for.
Well, you have to sign them with the notary public.
Yeah, it's been notarized.
Right. I mean, they'll,
I move to adopt the conservation restriction granted by Kestrel Land Trust to the Town of Hatfield Conservation Commission.
motion been made to accept the document.
Second.
Read this all over, then, fine. Okay. Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
No.
If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed?
Sure.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
We'll
your
get them
support.
to you.
Great. Yep.
Thanks.
This has got to be signed in front of the
Notary public.
notary public. All right. We'll get that back. Paul, we'll get it back to you, or
Okay. Can I connect with you tomorrow?
Yeah, should be able
I'll
to.
be in tomorrow to sign it. In front of Lydia or
All
somebody.
right.
Is
Okay.
Lydia, yeah.
Lydia here
I
tomorrow?
think it only needs my
Wait a
signature,
minute,
right?
what's
No.
tomorrow? No, she
All
won't
of
be here
ours?
tomorrow.
All of us.
So then we'll just leave it in there when you guys come in.
I
just-
come in tomorrow.
Yeah,
If
just
they
sign
need
it.
it tomorrow, sure.
Oh, all 3 of us, I'm sorry. It is here. All right. And we'll probably leave it in with Lydia and just sign it. Okay, Mr. Wagner. Bob, come on up again.
Yeah, not so fast.
Bob Wagner, Chair of the Community Preservation Committee, Linseed Road in Hatfield. So over the past couple months, well, really actually since our proposal for a community housing project failed at Maytown meeting in 2013. In amongst all of our other business, the committee has been talking about how we best address the community housing element of the Community Preservation Act. As you know, there's 3 areas in which funding needs to be allocated or used on an annual basis. That's community housing, open space preservation, and historic preservation. And then once those 3 have been allocated their 10% on an annual basis, then the rest of the money that's set aside in the CPA can be used for any of those 3 or recreation projects like the community park here on School Street. And so one of the things that we've been looking at is, particularly in light of last year's vote, is what really are the needs, the housing needs in Hatfield of our current population. We know from that proposal that we have quite a few seniors, for example, in town that are actually eligible for the kinds of projects that community housing would supply, probably more so than many people thought in town. So the question to us is what are the needs in town, and also then what are the interests of the residents in town on the types of projects that they might be willing to support through the CPA funding in the area of community housing. So we've discussed various projects and proposals with a variety of different groups, the Valley Community Development Corporation and the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission in particular. And Pioneer Valley Planning Commission has experience doing housing studies and housing production plans for communities in our service area, in their service area. And so we've talked to them about doing a housing study for Hatfield and a housing production plan. Now, I probably know only enough to be dangerous on a housing production plan, but it's something that the state really wants communities to do, and if you do it, even if you get it done, it does provide some additional points, if you will, on some community grants and other initiatives that the state has. So doing a housing production plan or having one laid out for the town is a good thing in and of itself. So the Community Preservation Act allows for the committee to set aside up to 5% of the annual funds on an annual basis for administration costs. And one of the allowable uses of the administration account is to have studies done, to pay for studies that would otherwise help the committee make decisions, consider proposals for projects, that kind of thing. And so we would like to undertake a contract with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission to have a housing study and a housing production plan done. In the course of going through this with PVPC, it became clear to us, and it probably should have been in the first place, that we really can't sign this contract, that this is something the Board of Selectmen would enter into, but CPC would pay for. The funds would come from our administration account. So I have in front of me a contract agreement between Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and the town of Hatfield to do a housing study and a housing production plan. It's based over the period of June 25th of this year through December of 2015, and there's a whole series of tasks and a timeline scope of services laid out in the contract that we would hope that the board would agree to enter into with PVPC. It's set up at currently to be signed by Ed as the chair of the Board of Selectmen. There's another wrinkle here that I want to be clear on, and that is our 5% allocation. We do have some regular costs on an annual basis that goes towards. We have dues that we pay the Community Preservation Coalition for the services they provide in terms of advice and assistance to us, which is actually invaluable. We typically use some of those funds for posting our public hearing on an annual basis in the legal notices in the Gazette. It doesn't come to a lot of money. But we don't have enough money in any one year to pay for this entire study, so we want to do it over 2 fiscal years. So we'd like, I know this is close to the 11th hour, we'd like to be able to put a down payment on this project, if you will, and I actually have an invoice for that, in this current fiscal year, and then carry the rest of the project into the next fiscal year, and if we need to, the following one. But I don't think we'll have to unless we the survey costs are, for the town survey, are higher than what we think they might be because of mailing costs and things like that. The other thing that we, while I'm here, I might as well preview with you.
Bob, can you hold that?
Oh, sure, yeah.
The question that I have is a quick one here. Does it have to be approved at town meeting?
No.
No, it doesn't. We can use our administration funds for these types of studies without approval by
Okay,
town
I
meeting.
thought it was for attorney's fees, but I didn't
Right.
catch.
Yeah, so,
General administration.
yeah, and that's another thing that we actually end up paying for from
Surveys.
time to time is the attorney's fees to review the letters of agreement, that kind of thing.
Okay, but it included a study of...
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
I just didn't remember. That's
Yeah,
why I
no,
asked.
those are allowed under the admin account without town meeting approval. The other thing I should mention, and we want to come back to the board to discuss this in more detail, and I'll probably ask John Wilkes to join me. While the CPC is more than willing to pay for this study, we feel like the study would best be conducted with a subcommittee, or rather a steering committee made up of a member of the board, made up of a member of the Community Preservation Commission, the Housing Authority. We'd like to have a private citizen or two participate as a steering committee for the study, so that it's not the CPC responsible for the whole study, and you get some input right from the very beginning, and there are public hearings and meetings proposed in the in the work plan and scope of work as well. But we're not asking for the creation of that steering committee today, because we just want to make sure we can get the project started, but that is something we'd like to talk to the board about. Because I think, and we feel at our last meeting, that would be a more effective way to proceed, and by getting input and involvement and planning board, for example, as well.
Back to a couple small things.
Yeah.
What was the time frame on this effort?
So
It starts this fiscal year and ends...
It would end December 15th is, December 2015 is when
Okay.
they proposed the whole thing being completed. So we wouldn't really, even if we were to consider any proposals relative to this, they wouldn't appear until the town meeting in 2016. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. And Chris Curtis, actually, who I think many of you know, he's the supervisor of the individual who's going to be managing the project, and Jane Armington. Yeah, and she's done a number of these. In fact, she's working on one in Pelham right now.
Yeah, she did our Greenway study here.
That's right, yeah, that's right, she mentioned that.
I just saw her this week.
Yeah.
The charter, on the steering group, why don't you just draft out a charter? Composition, types of people you want, what their task is.
Yeah, happy to
Their
do that.
role.
Is there like some kind of template for a charter that, or is it just writing it up and
Name.
outlining? Yeah,
Purpose,
okay,
I can send you something.
resources made available,
that'd be great.
deliverables.
Yeah.
Basically, what their obligations are, what you're looking for them to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
What you're looking for this steering committee to do.
And what their commitment would be.
Yeah, and you
Sure.
could pull that out of the contract.
Yeah, in
and have
fact,
certain-
they're sort of listed in here as to what the commitment would be as far as meetings and such, so.
There is a PVPC publication, and I apologize, I can't remember the name of it, within the last 6 months or so. And one of the things that it walks through is poverty in this area. And in fact, I've had the discussion with Chris Curtis a couple times. It shows Hatfield is ranking right up there with Springfield and Holyoke. I think we're right after them in terms of percentage of families in poverty. So
I've seen
This
that.
this whole notion of a study regarding housing and the needs and a production plan, I think, is on the mark for our area. And you're right, it's not something I wouldn't think of us as
Yeah.
behind Springfield and Holyoke.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I can't remember the name of that study either, but I did get a copy of that as well, and.
It's right out of census data, apparently.
Yeah, no, it is, and as we found when we were doing the work in support of the project on Elm Street,
Yeah.
quite surprised, shocking, if you will, of the numbers and the information they were giving us on seniors in Hatfield, so I think, thank you for that.
Well, I would move to approve contract with PVPC regarding a housing study and production plan for the town of Hatfield, as described.
Motion been made,
Second?
seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
No? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
I'll leave this with Paul.
Okay.
Now, do you want me, I noticed the next agenda item is CPC projects for FY15. Do you want me to stick around for a few minutes, or?
Sure, please.
Okay.
Oh, what? You're next.
Yeah. I didn't know that was me until I got in
Oh,
here.
well, there was nothing in our reading.
Now you know.
Yeah, I basically, once Ed signs all the contracts, 3 of them will be complete. I am still waiting for the chairman of the Housing Authority to sign
Oh, on the
theirs.
letters of agreement.
The letter,
Oh,
yeah, that's all that is.
Okay, all right.
But, if any of the board members have any questions,
Oh, okay. I was wondering if maybe you were talking about possible projects for next year and you wanted to.
No,
work some- or
just about the
talk-
letters of agreement. I wanted to make sure it was on the agenda so it didn't get forgotten.
Okay. Yeah, these are the letters of agreement that are signed by the applicants and the sponsoring entities for the projects that were approved at town meeting. We've done this now since the very beginning so that if there are issues with the budget or, requirements of the grant, we can go back and say, here, you signed this, and it's all laid out there. So, so Paul has those, and I guess you are working with our interim town council, although it is a form that I worked up with Bill O'Neill, and so we're just using that now as a standard template.
Yeah, so town council has signed, the
Yeah.
accountant has signed, most of the applicants have signed, we need to have Ed sign.
Okay.
And then just Mike McGrath,
Needs to come in,
he's the last signature I need.
Yeah.
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 Where are they?
Just so you're aware, that
Green
town
folder.
council basically retired from the town,
Oh, he did, okay,
health
Okay,
reasons and
yeah.
stuff, so we're looking for new town council.
okay.
In the interim here.
Well, I've seen Bill recently, or, not all that long ago, and I guess I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. Bill was great to work with. Plus, his office was close to mine. I could walk over there.
Down the block?
Yeah, literally down the block, so.
Yeah.
And one of those is actually not only for Ed to sign as the board chair, but also as the sponsoring entity.
Right.
It's the
It's the Board of
project on the
Selectmen,
Prospect
yeah,
Street
yeah.
Bridge, Prospect Court Bridge.
Yeah.
I would move to authorize the chair to execute letters of agreement between the Board of Selectmen and the Hatfield Community Preservation Committee.
Motion been made, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hatfield Hosting
Motion carried,
Authority.
thank you.
I saw that, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bob.
Okay, take
Okay.
care.
Yep, see you later.
Thanks, Bob.
We got one here for the Hatfield Hosting Authority.
Okay, town, public safety building status, what's,
Well,
enlighten us, Paul.
the latest. Things are moving very slowly. We have submitted a modified change order number 3 and the substantial completion forms, which we still have not gotten back yet. I did talk with the president of Evergreen Construction, had a discussion. He's got some issues. I said, well, send me an email addressing the issues that you have, and then we'll take it from there. So I haven't gotten anything from them yet.
So we can't release any more money until we have all this paperwork?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
And there's really no further discussion.
On a
is there?
positive note, the HVAC contractor was in last week and started up the air conditioning system, and they've got their training over there. That all occurred on the same day, so we're all done with the HVAC system.
Was there an issue with the system or an issue
they
with
just had-
operator error? Or-
No, it needed to be initially started up, and that hadn't happened yet
Okay.
because the weather was too cool. So that's where we're at.
So do you want this document back from us because?
Oh, I just left
future?
it. No, I mean, everybody's got a copy. I just put it in there for your information. This topic is going to remain on the agenda here for a while, though
Okay. Hopefully we can get rid of it shortly.
eventually.
Okay, town hall hours. We asked you to come back with a proposed schedule,
Yep.
which you have. And basically, it's Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30 with you. Key, it's the secretary would be here from 7:30 to 6. And the part-time secretary would be here from 7 to 2:30. I'm just
DPW
wondering,
director and the COA director aren't affected.
pardon?
The DPW director and the COA
yeah.
director are
Are
unaffected.
unaffected, right. Okay. Brian, you got any questions?
Well, I just wanted to say, I think it's important that everyone realizes this isn't changing the access to any of the departments within Town Hall. The people watching. In other words, the clerk and the assessor's office, they don't work on Fridays now. So this is really to hopefully make it easier and have a better idea of when offices are open. Extend the hours during the day, Monday through Thursday, so people have better access, perhaps before and after they have to go to work. So
What this will give us, this is a 3-month trial. The public will have input. What my suggestion would be for the public, if they have any issues, put something in your box. Okay, your box is always open there. They can drop it in.
Or
If
send
they
me
have an issue,
email.
they can put it in there, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that we can do on the offices that are closed is bring it to their attention that the public is asking them to extend their hours or change their hours to make it more acceptable for the public. So that's as much as we can do. And they're elected officials, so if they choose not to, then there's not much we can do about it.
Right.
But hopefully they'd look at whatever the public needs and serve their needs.
agreed.
So, okay, we voted on this already to move forward on a trial basis, and we'll revisit this the end of October, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Starts July 1st, right?
Well, actually, we'll start it next Monday, which will be June 30th? Yeah, June 30.
July 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, ambulance billing.
So we went over this at the last meeting. I made some, changes as directed. And we talked about the whole financial hardship part of it. I think, Ed, you had mentioned that the assessor's office has, some kind of guidelines, schedule. I talked to them about that, and they were unaware of it.
It's there. I know it's there because in order for us to give an abatement, they have to show proof that documentation of their bank books and all that other stuff to get the abatement.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing now, but,
I'm not sure, but that's the way it was previous.
okay, all
Okay,
right.
so if they have different guidelines, I'm not aware of them.
Okay. However, in the model that we got from Marshfield, which we're doctoring up here a little bit, they use the Hill-Burton poverty guidelines, which are actually, I didn't realize this until I dug into it, they're actually the official federal poverty guidelines coming from the Hill-Burton Act whenever that was enacted. So I Googled that, and that's the attachment. That's what they look like. What exactly this all means at this point, I'm not really sure, but if we want to proceed along those lines, I can get some more information.
I just need to know what it means. What would we, 400% of what?
Well, 100, so
I
here's
mean,
my this is what I think it means. If you are,
Household size of one,
yeah,
and you have ink,
Yeah,
is that ink? The columns are not labeled, that's my issue.
Right.
Label the column, tell us,
so if you're a household size of 1, and you are making $11,490 or less,
Be
you
entitled to
you're-
100% abatement or
yeah,
reimbursement or
that's
abatement.
poverty level. And then,
but why would you get more reimbursement if you made more money? That doesn't make
No,
sense.
you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I was just using
Yeah.
Ed's logic,
Oh,
moving
okay.
across the table. If you were 100, why would you, if you earned more money, 15,000, why would you get 133%? That
Good
doesn't.
question, doesn't make sense, you're right.
So I just suggest
We just need some clarification. on it.
clarification on
The way I remember back in the assessor's office, it was based on your financial situation, okay? What they had to do is they had to bring in their bank books, they had to bring in, show proof of what their income was, okay? Their social security, their whatever it was out there, so that they had to show proof of that. And then you gauged it on a dollar figure, like it was, I think property level was what, 30, or whatever thousand, $23,000 in the assessing manual or book. And then that's what you assess that on, if they're
Is
willing
there
to.
anybody on the Board of Assessors now that was on when you were on?
No.
Can I suggest we just,
Go ahead.
I've contacted PVPC and asked if there's a regional
Okay.
a
that's
regional
that's a good
poverty
idea.
guide.
Okay.
Yeah,
It may turn out there's only a federal,
okay,
but that's okay too.
That's okay.
We'll get either one from,
yeah,
and Chris Curtis was looking for it.
all right.
See,
no,
we
that's
we
a good
can
idea.
set whatever we want. If we say,
true,
anybody
Well,
with a salary or a pay of under $20,000 or $10,000, we will give them an exemption if they qualify.
I just think we're in better stead if we have some objective board,
Something that somebody else
something
made
that
up,
everybody
yeah.
uses
Yeah.
as guidelines, and if that's what we're going to apply, fine.
Yeah,
Could you check maybe with Northampton and Amherst on what they do, Paul?
Okay,
See if
yeah.
they've got something on how they give their abatements, okay, to the public, and not the insurance companies, but the public itself.
yeah, okay.
That might help us
We're
out.
almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
And I expect next couple of days to hear something back from PVPC.
But in this document, I didn't see, Coastal, they collect the money, but then there's, when we met with them a couple years ago, Paul, you and I did, they were supposed to be hiring a collection agency to
Yeah,
do this, and it doesn't say this in here.
Yeah, it's in here.
It's in there,
Did I miss it?
Yeah,
except that we haven't heard any results from them.
yeah, so that number 8, as a last resort, if no financial hardship is involved, the overdue bill will be referred collection to an outside agency.
Collections to an outside aid. Yeah, but they had an agency there,
Yeah, there's somebody that they use.
but I've never seen a document come from the agency. I have no
Can't
report,
say
nothing.
I have either.
Okay, so I think it's time to sit down with them again and find out what's going on with
Okay,
the money that's outstanding. What's going on with them? What's the collection rate? What's, just need some answers that we don't have right now.
okay.
I mean, I hope.
It's not
we-
costing us any money because they only
Right.
make any money if they receive any money. But they're not getting anything for us either, so.
Okay.
Okay. We all set with that?
Yes.
Year-end transfers.
So we're scheduled to meet with the Finance Committee at 7 on June 8th.
July 8th.
We don't have that.
July
We'll
8th.
deal with this then. Now, I just got that from the accountant today. I mean, just to kind of give you a heads up of what accounts are overrun. Those numbers are going to change within the next couple of weeks. But, you know, there are, you know, a number of accounts that are overrun, nothing all that serious. When we have a number of accounts where, you know, we can, I think there's adequate resources there to...
This is deficit, we're in a deficit
Yep.
already?
Yeah.
How can we be running over? I mean, I can see on the insurance,
Yeah, there's a couple
public
of...
building maintenance, we shouldn't be over on public building maintenance.
Well, Phil just saw that today, and he was surprised. He knew that public building maintenance was going to run over, but facilities maintenance, he was surprised to see that.
And town mechanic,
We've known about...
anything that gets close to running over, we should be aware of. Phil should be bringing it to our attention, okay? And we should be deciding whether we're going to fix things or not, okay? Not the mechanic or not anybody else,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah, well, the other...
You know, we either say stop spending and we're not going to spend any more, or we should have some kind of a, you know, right now, they've got an open checkbook. Okay?
If it's a broken...
And I'm not picking on any one...
Yeah. But I mean, if the fire truck is down, we're going to fix the fire truck.
Yeah, we're not going to let it
But
sit there.
Yeah.
But if there's something
Yeah.
to be welded on
Yeah.
a whatever that we're going to use next year, then that gets
Yeah, I
put
understand.
off. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But somebody other than the person in charge of these accounts, you know,
Take a
we
second
should be
look.
making that decision, not them. We should be looking at it as a package here, or the finance committee along with us, or whatever. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I should, you know, we shouldn't be seeing, you know, $11,000 overage on anything. That's a lot of money for one budget.
Yeah, it is. So anyways, that's where we stand.
You know,
I think
some
we'll
of
have
them,
a couple of things here that, you
Hampshire
know,
County
I don't
retirement, you
I don't
can't-
understand why we're
Can't help that.
$702 over on the HCOG. I mean, because that's an assessment.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. On the Hampshire County retirement, I think I know what happened there. When we budgeted for it, you know, they give us a discount if we pay it up front.
Right.
I don't think that happened last year.
It did not.
It did not, okay. Yeah, so that's why we're getting whacked there.
Well, we didn't take advantage of the discount.
Didn't take advantage of it, yeah.
But we paid, I don't understand, well, we paid for it, but
We paid for it.
COA transportation, we knew that.
We've known about that.
Well,
we're we're going to have a surplus in legal?
Yep.
Wow, usually it's costing us.
I mean, if we could almost take, let's make this easy.
Keep it simple.
Take it out of finance, take the finance committee reserve and apply it toward the deficit and one other small item. What, EMS training or assessors or one of these?
We will,
Legal,
Board of Health will be given back probably $9,000 to $10,000.
$14,884.
Pardon?
$14,884.
Yeah, that's what I say, but we'll be using probably 3 of that.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
that's about it.
So,
Okay,
but I
so
mean,
there'll be
we
like
could-
10 grand left.
We can make the meeting on the 8th very short and sweet, or we could make it complicated.
I like the short and sweet.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean, once we after this week, we're going to know where everybody stands.
Yeah, well,
But we're in good shape.
The bottom line is, right now, this department, okay, building maintenance, that stops, okay? Mechanic stops. Everything stops unless there's an emergency, okay? That, you know, because you can't keep adding more money to this.
well, it depends, you know.
But it is.
It depends.
Well, the only
mean,
thing that
if
you don't
there-
have
if there's
control,
something you have to
Council on
do,
Aging,
you have
are you
to
going to
do
shut the
it.
vans down for
Yeah.
people for medical? No, you're not going to do that. So
Right.
you got to do
Right.
that. Building maintenance, okay, that can wait a week.
Oh, absolutely.
Less the
Okay.
basement's flooding.
Yeah.
You know, when we're looking at, town hall tech, that must be the IT stuff,
Yeah, that's the IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
there's an emergency.
No,
Computers don't work, but that's okay.
that sort of thing. But no, there's been a whole bunch of purchases that
Yeah.
we've put off.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't realize we're in the red on that.
Well, a lot of that's got to do with, you know, and I knew this was going to happen, I just didn't know to what extent, you know, just some additional costs involved with the two construction projects.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not dealing with the snow and ice.
No,
We're
because
not
that's
dealing
going to
with
come
That'll be
off,
on,
that comes off the cherry sheet for
Right.
next year.
okay, so for folks watching and listening, we're talking about a surplus of 140,000 or thereabouts. Not as we deal with various account shortfalls, pluses and minuses. We're on the positive side.
Right.
That's good.
So can we get the word out to, Phil, I mean, he's with public building,
Sure.
mechanic stuff, get a word, Paul, get in touch with him, tell him,
Yeah,
hold off on
yeah.
everything unless
I
it's an
will.
absolute emergency.
Yeah, but we're not going to stop work because of something.
You're right.
I will distribute this to everybody tomorrow
Okay.
Okay.
with a memo.
I mean, the bottom line is $48,000 over budget on them, and some of them, we knew from the start that this was, or from the get-go, because there wasn't enough money in the budgets and stuff, but like the retirement and stuff like that, we have no control over that.
Yeah, the 48,000 shortfall offset by 188,000 surplus.
Right. And on the salary side, it's 188,000 that's
Yeah, I mean,
going back
those-
to the free cash, so.
You know, that's the salaries as of today, but there's one more pay period, so.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so our next meeting with the Finance Committee, this should be really cut and dry and quick. Shouldn't take much time at all.
So,
You have any
well, actually,
questions,
we
Brian?
can, never mind.
Nope. Thank you for the update, Paul.
Okay.
Well, July and August meetings.
Going right into
What a
it.
good transition. On the 8th, well, here's what we had. We had the 8th and the 22nd of July, and the 12th and 26th of August. Now, is there any, we haven't got times, except for the 8th.
Well,
It's
Brian and I will both not be here on the 22nd.
No, 26th.
Of July.
The
Oh,
meeting's on the 26th.
oh, it is?
Yeah,
What is the meetings in July 26th?
Oh, I had it.
12 and 26.
In July, isn't it the 8th and the 22nd?
8th and 22nd.
Right, I won't be here on the 22nd, I think is what Paul was referring to.
And in July, it's the 12th and 26th.
I mean, in August.
August, rather, excuse me.
Okay, August 12th and 26th.
Right,
In July is the 8th.
8th and 22nd
Yeah, Brian and I will not be around on the 22nd.
of,
July.
And then my question is, do we really need to have that meeting in July?
Good question.
Okay, because if there's not much, we just cancel it.
That's,
And have one meeting in the month.
that's fine, same in August? One in July, one in August, or are you just talking about
Yeah,
July?
Summer months. It's usually-
Now, I know,
well, we got a lot in August. You got to knock out the AAB report, the Department of Public Safety. We've got the Mass Works package that needs to get in, and we ought to be doing 2 of them this time. We've got the expedited permitting process has to be published in August.
So 2 in August.
We need the,
2 in August.
an agreement
Yeah.
with the landowner to participate in the, what did you, break it, Ed?
Every meeting.
Send him a bill.
Still in there, still ruining my tie.
So,
No, we have plenty in August.
yeah, so we can have,
So July 8th, we'll have a meeting, and then August 12th and 26th, as they're already
will be our
scheduled.
meeting, we'll scratch the 22nd. And then we'll have the meeting August 12th and
now,
26th.
Phil is always gone for 2 weeks in August, though I don't know exactly what
And he'll
those
need to get it
dates
done
are.
ahead of time.
Is anybody else going to be away in August?
Yes. I expect to be gone. I expect to be gone the week prior to our meeting, leaving maybe on the
Oh,
15th or thereabouts, Friday, and coming back maybe the 24th or somewhere in there, that,
somewhere
All right, well,
in
you'll be
there.
back for this.
somewhere.
Is that okay?
But I'll be here.
Yes,
for-
that's fine, Ed. Yep.
26th?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so one meeting in July, July 8th,
Yeah,
and then the next one will be August 12th, 26th. Unless there's an absolute emergency that comes up, then we'll
Sure,
we'll just have to
handle it
deal
as,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
and of course, the next question is...
Okay, when are you
Yeah.
gone?
I'm gone, I'll be gone the 18th through, I think it's the 28th.
Of July?
Yeah.
Okay. Ed, are you going anywhere, or you?
No.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Brian, you're gone somewhere?
Just that second, what would have been the second July meeting. I'm here all of August,
Okay,
and the first July meeting.
February.
Right.
rub it in.
So the next question is, what time of day should these meetings be held?
Well, on the 8th of July, we're already committed to 7 o'clock
7.
with the Finance Committee, but we could meet earlier,
Right.
and
Depends on.
they
what
show up
big-
at 7.
How big our agenda is. I mean, we could meet at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, if that works
Yeah.
for Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Do 5 o'clock, and then by 7 o'clock, we'll have a short meeting with the Finance Committee, we're out of here.
Right.
Sure.
So let's do 5 o'clock.
Okay, shall we make it 5 o'clock going forward?
That would be appreciated if you don't mind.
I mean, it works for me, as far as 4:30 works for me, as long as we can get out of here by 6:30, it's not too late, that's okay with me, because it's at the end of the day, it's either beginning of the day or end of the day.
Is 4:30 too early for you?
It is normally, 5 is kind of my
Okay.
early time.
5, 7,
Earliest.
like to say, as long as we keep it to 2 hours, I don't have a problem with that.
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, yep,
We'll do 5 to 7.
thank you.
So August would be 5 on the 12th and 26th.
Okay. So we got that. Billings Way, I saw the contract, I would have sworn it was a 2-year contract.
I did too.
It was only a 1-year contract. Because I remember him
Yeah.
specifically asking,
Oh,
since he
he
had to
wanted-
put that
he wanted
much
a long
money
one?
into fertilizers and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that he wanted a 2-year contract, and that's why I was surprised to see the 1-year
Yeah.
contract.
Well, this is the way we've been doing it since
Okay.
before I got here.
All right, has anybody asked to use that land again this year, or not?
I mean, well, this is, he's using it this year. Yeah.
He's got it.
Yeah, this is current,
Okay, so,
May through November 2014.
okay. And he didn't sign this at all, Paul?
I think he did, though, just to
We
put
should
my
make
hands
sure
on
that
a
we get
signed copy.
document.
Yeah. But of course, all this came up because of the Recreation Committee wanting to use that, and then there was a flurry of emails between the cemetery committee members and the recreation
So at this time,
committee.
it's on the back burner?
It's on the back burner. I think, Joe LaValle's willing to sit down with them and talk about it and, maybe come up with...
I think there's plenty of room for
Yeah.
a reasonable
Something
plan.
on a temporary
So,
basis.
Joe, at least that'll happen is that the field will get put in, and then if we have to do cemetery grades, the grass will be there, so
Yeah, well,
we
nice and
benefit
flat.
by it, right?
True.
Nice and flat.
Next on the agenda,
Motion to approve application for auctioneer's permit submitted by Petrosky Auctioneers Incorporated of North Franklin, Connecticut. Site of proposed auction, 327 West Street, on July 25th, 2014 at 9:30 a.m.
motion been made, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay. Administrator,
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones here, just to... I sent you an email there, I don't know, last week or a couple of weeks ago, to like a half a dozen law firms, requesting that they send me a request for qualifications, and, I wanted to get those by July 1st, so...
Okay.
I've got one package in, I've had a couple of conversations, so, we'll see how that plays out. Brackett and Lucas, who is currently our acting town council, is the only firm that's actually submitted a package yet, but I expect to get at least a couple more.
Okay.
So that's the status on that. On the HCOG accounting proposal, we've been going back and forth with them on that. They came up with a proposal after an initial discussion with Mike and I, and then we've had some internal discussions, and we're modifying that. So the scope is basically, still being worked out, but I would expect by our next meeting, we'll probably have that nailed down.
question that I have is, what's the prepare payroll warrant bi-weekly? That's, Edwina's doing that right now.
That's right, and that is going to come out of there.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
scratch.
Did you send this around? I sent you
Yeah, I did.
the proposal. Here's what I proposed after talking to the players. Scope from HCOG would be provide an assistant town accountant for 4 hours per month, an additional 4 hours per quarter to conduct a monthly reconciliation of the treasurer's cash accounts, a monthly reconciliation of the collector's tax receivables, compile and review a financial policies and procedures manual, compile an internal management control program, and conduct selected risk audits. Retain the services of an individual now performing 8 hours a week at 13.21 hours to prepare the payable warrant weekly. Retain the treasurer role in the weekly preparation of payroll warrant. Retain the accountant role in periodic reconciliation of the assessor's overlay, the school, food service, and miscellaneous grant reconciliations, quarterly reconciliations of departmental receivables, and we hardly get any of those, periodic budget execution reports of department and other duties which haven't been affected by anything. And the other thing I was proposing is we explore with the assessor's office making the current assessor's clerk a shared resource. And the notion being that there not be a strict separation of duties, i.e. when the individual had slack time in the assessors, they could do accounting kinds of work. When they had slack time in accounting, they could be doing assessors and use best judgment. If someone's standing on the counter, well, you'll take care of the person at the counter. Or you've got a telephone call, you'll take care of the telephone call. But most of the accounting work is not extremely time sensitive. I mean, it could be worked in during the course of a regular day. And we'd simply use the current pay schedule and the number of hours allocated, and you could either build in a composite rate, like we do for Tom, Chief Osley, who's supposedly half chief, half patrol, and you come up with a composite pay rate, or you could leave it separate as it is now. And this, as I said here, eliminates the need for the more costly municipal bookkeeper that you were just talking about, which is $26 an hour versus $13.21. And external services, everyone agrees, that are not needed. More responsive customer service on bills than a municipal bookkeeper being here only 1 day a week when you can have someone here like 4 days a week. And it also addresses all the key findings in our recent audit. The long-deferred publication of the accounting manual and internal management control manual, institutes vulnerability assessments, and clear responsibility and the resources to executing the monthly reconciliations. And town accountant appears to be on track with that. And from what I've seen, I don't think we're going to have any big problems with it either.
The goal of this, there's a couple of things that we talked about.
Forget all that, that's just,
Originally, we talked about getting a backup for Edwina in case something would happen to her.
okay, that's,
Company that would take a look at
that's,
that.
that's a separate issue.
Separate
That's
issue.
a separate
Separate
Yes.
issue,
Okay.
yeah.
And then we talked about, well, maybe we should go to a three-quarter or a full-time accountant, and Paul brought that up.
Right.
Okay? I mean, that would eliminate, here we're piecemealing this whole thing, and then we don't get somebody for the whole week. Okay? If you had a full-time accountant, or somebody that gave you 32 hours or 36 hours a week, then you'd have somebody there 7 days, or 5 days a week, 4 days a week, and all your services would be met. That's what Paul was bringing up. And I guess that's what sticks in my head. And instead of making it, kind of piecemealing it, maybe we should just look at that. I mean, Mike is, you know, who knows how much time he's got left to retire. And when he's going on vacation quite a bit and stuff, so maybe it's time that we start thinking on the other side and thinking about going to, I'm just throwing that out for discussion.
I mean, I know.
Okay? You know?
You know, and when the audit was going on, and after the fact, when I was discussing it with the auditor, you know, he said to me, and I've thought for some time, actually since I got here, I said, you know, that's pretty much a full-time position in there. And he said, yeah, you need somebody in there, you know, 4 days a week, 8 hours a day, 32 hours a week.
A lot of times Mike is not here, people are looking for answers, they're going in, talking to Jenny, trying to get answers from her, and it's all over the place.
Well, I mean, there's no question in my mind that you're going to have to move in that direction at some point, you know.
So maybe that time is now. I don't know, I'm throwing that out there.
I'm not ready to move that way. I think this approach takes care of all the key audit findings in a very reasonable way. If Mike chooses to leave at some point, that's fine. I think that'd be an appropriate time to,
I guess what I would like to
Sure.
see, before I make a decision on this, is what is the total dollar figure it's costing us to do it your way versus what we're paying right now versus what it would be if we had a full-time person.
the only delta here would be what the cost of the HCOG services would be.
Right.
The rest are all,
Yeah, but you would eliminate
Well, I can figure that out.
bookkeeper's position.
we're not hiring the bookkeeper's position.
No, but what I'm saying is, if we hired a full-time
yeah.
accountant right now, that accountant would be doing everything,
Right.
okay, with the exception of payroll. And they would be responsible for payroll, that would be the backup
Right.
for payroll.
But why would you pay high dollar for a person who's going to be capable of doing all that range of work when what you're doing here is segregating some of your administrative activity and not paying that higher rate, you're paying a lower rate for that, just for that administrative activity. See, actually, you're lowering your costs
But
that way.
what I'm asking is, I want to see the figures. Show me the figures.
I can put some numbers together for you.
Put the numbers together on where
Yeah.
we're at, and then it can tell me, is it best to go what Jeff is talking about, or is it best to go with hiring a full-time person, or is it best to go?
Well, we didn't budget
whatever?
for a full-time person.
I thought you put in money for,
Actually, we did. It was kind of a mistake, but we ended up doing it that way.
I thought you did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there a time frame that we're supposed to get this off the ground? And, I mean, I know we're trying to address the audit, and we're trying to get the best bang for our buck. Is it worth, I like the concept that Jeff has proposed. I mean, I don't know if that's something that we would sort of roll out in the beginning to see if it's working with the shared responsibilities of that clerk, while in the meantime, we're looking for the figures, or is this something that can
Oh,
wait?
I can have some numbers for you by the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my intent was to get this off the ground next month.
Well, I think just the quick mathematics of doing HCOG is about $12,000 a year, if I mean, I just kind of did
Yeah.
that in my head. So there's the cost.
No,
I'm
So-
asking a question.
I'm sorry.
No, I was finished.
So we're talking,
okay.
well, we could do the math right here.
Right.
There's 4 hours per month, 4 times 12, 48. 4 hours per quarter, 4 times 4, 16.
Times 52, right?
And then times $52 an hour. That'd be the added cost. I got that right?
Yep.
4 hours per
For the
month.
assistant town accountant, right? I mean, that's what those are the
Right.
figures I'm getting.
Right,
Right.
and that's the only one so that's the only delta in cost.
Well, and there was a cost up above if we did the municipal bookkeeper. I mean, if the
No,
whole
we're not-
package, no, I understand that, but that was what the whole package proposed was.
Can we have Paul put it together, and
Oh,
that
yeah,
way we'll have
that's-
a written sheet, everything to a spreadsheet, Paul?
I'm okay with
I'll have
that.
it for the next meeting.
Okay,
54
we'll
times,
deal with it next meeting.
52 times 64, that's all it is.
That way we can see all three items here. Put it on a spreadsheet, and that way A, B, C. Okay, anything else, Paul?
Just one last thing. And we will be discussing all this tomorrow evening, but this is the letter of recommendation from the Center School Reuse Advisory Committee. I finally got the last member to sign it today, so this is just for your information at this point.
Thanks.
This is what we had in our package last time, right?
No.
Similar document?
Well, I think the site scheme A was in there, but not the letter.
Okay, all right. And this is for tomorrow's meeting. Okay, good. All right. You have any other things?
No,
What about the building inspector?
Well, yeah.
I move to convene an executive session under reason, 2, Massachusetts General Law 30A, Section 21, to conduct strategy session in connection with contract negotiations with non-union personnel, i.e. specifically candidates for the building inspector position, and not return to open session.
Yes, my question, Jeff, is we're not deliberating, or we're not dealing with the contractual thing right now.
Yeah, we are.
Well, we've already talked about that at the last meeting, okay? And now,
Well, we have a counter proposal.
we have what?
We have a proposal from the person to whom we had made an offer.
Okay,
So we're
okay.
to consider the proposal in a way ahead.
Okay, then we have to go into executive session to discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay, motion been made to go into executive session under that chapter section. Wesco, aye.
Moriarty, aye?
Boyle, aye.
And we will not be returning to open session at this point in time. Thank you, everyone. And
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thanks.